MultiVersus is officially dead. It's no mystery that because of poor management and corporate greed, the Red Sea swill of live service game has had a very short era indeed, with most live service games going under long before their projected lifespans due to losing too many dedicated players way too early because of buggy mechanics, lack of updates, greedy microtransactions, or just having a really crap game in general. We saw what happened to smaller niche games with stronger, more niche fan bases like Rogue Company, to larger games that sunk before they even realized they were on a boat, like Concord. These failed, terminally dead live service games abound, and although this is just a small reflection of modern gaming, it is quite sad to consider how many work hours, sleepless nights, and unpaid crunch hours that went into making these games, designing characters, writing code, creating dialogue, building assets, so on and so forth, just to be out of a job at the end of it all, and for the game to go up in irrelevant smoke in a matter of months. And of course, it also sucks for the fans of these games who show up from day one to support a bloated, decaying mess because they have hope that it can change. Now, I've never really been one of those guys. I have a ridiculous backlog of games, and games are so expensive these days that being up to date can cost you. But even with my old-gen, backdated Kentucky Fried ADHD-riddled gaming schedule, I did manage to be one of the first players for one of the latest additions to this Red Sea of dead games, MultiVersus. MultiVersus was a 2024 free-to-play crossover platform fighting game published by Warner Bros. Games and developed by Player First Games. The game featured content from Warner Bros. Franchises, including Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, Game of Thrones, the DC Universe, and Cartoon Network franchises. The open beta versions of the game ran from July 2022 to June 2023, and the game was then fully released on May 28, 2024. MultiVersus received generally positive reviews during its open beta, and its launch on Steam was one of the most successful for a WB Games title, and the biggest launch for a fighting game released on the platform. It won Best Fighting Game of the Year at the 2022 Game Awards. This game made solid strides with its fleeting existence, but unfortunately the game was delisted and all online functionality was discontinued on May 30th of this year. That's right, you can't even play it anymore unless you already had it, and even if you do, you can't play online anymore, which is kind of why I made this video. For the last few weeks of May, my craving for gaming has had a sudden resurgence. And when I needed to take breaks from my playthrough of The Witcher 3, MultiVersus proved a very solid distraction. I spent a lot of unexpected hours fighting back to back with the other casuals who had decided to catch this game's swan song. I had always liked the game, but wasn't playing it much before because I was busy with other stuff in life. But as is the subtle humor of how things like these in life go, I found myself falling in love with its gameplay all over again, and how quirky and energetic these characters were. I put a ridiculous amount of time into Wonder Woman because her shield was broken, and every time you touched somebody, they just went flying. I also liked playing as Garnet, and I'm still sad to this day that there's no official Garnet gauntlets one can buy. Hulk hands are cool, but I want Garnet hands. But my favorite, by a long shot, was Harley Quinn. I enjoyed how you could set her up as a character that could dodge whilst also attacking, which is a habit I picked up from Tekken. I was untouchable when I played Harley Quinn, but because I didn't play the game that often, and because I wasn't gonna spend any money on it, I could only play her character during the times she was made available for public play, which in turn made me play stupid hours because I wanted to get in as much time as I possibly could playing as Harley. And as I played against more and more of the roster, my desire to play other characters grew as well. I found myself enjoying playing as Jake, which I had tried before but couldn't get into, and most definitely Samurai Jack. I once played against Jack as Harley and got my butt handed to me so hard that it was the perfect audition for a go as Jack. And they made him available for public play on like the 29th of May. So I started playing as Jack immediately, and I got the hang of his moveset so fast that I barely lost the game for like an hour after my first and only loss as Jack. So why am I saying all of this? Why this long-winded video on this game that's been figuratively dead for months and literally dead since like 2 days ago? I don't know, because you never know what you've got till it's gone, or something to that effect. I think it's only fitting that a dead game get a eulogy, right? Because truth be told, I'll miss this little game with its larger-than-life characters that I had already fallen in love with from hours spent in front of a TV screen. It's hard to say goodbye to something you were good at. I can't prove it to you now, but I had a win rate of like 85%, and I know it to be foolish to be proud of such meaningless metrics, but I felt proud of it. It was nice to have fun whilst also feeling unstoppable. The voice lines were also really good, which is no surprise as most characters had their original voice actors for the game. The characters would say the funniest things to each other after getting run out. Bugs Bunny would often say in response to Harley that he had been swinging around mallets ever since she was in diapers, and I don't know where I'm ever going to get an interaction like that ever again. But I think what I appreciated most was the original music. The game had a beautiful main theme that never felt boring to me, and the music for all 12 stages was not just appropriate, but incredibly entertaining, and I will forever take my hats off to the game composers for what they did on this game. And that's Stephen Barton, Cordy Hobb, Eduardo Bernason, and Marco Valerio Antolini. MultiVersus is still playable if you have it, albeit with no online functionality, so just local games with your friends and family. But my second remote doesn't work anymore, and I don't have a reason to keep this thing around, so even though I should have let go a long time ago, and even though I don't really want to, I have to say goodbye. So goodbye, MultiVersus, and thanks again, Player First Games.